What is going on, fellas? How you doing there?
It's all good. It's all good, bro.
All right. It is another day. It is Tuesday, August 30th, 2022, and it is the Truth Be Told show. So, just remember, folks, with it being Tuesday, August 30th, 2022, this is the only Tuesday, August 30th, 2022 that you will ever get. So, remember, make it a fantastic, great, amazing day. All right. So, let's go ahead and get things rocking. Y'all ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it,
fellas. Man, y'all excited? All right, come on, let's go.
Where are we at this morning? We talked about international news.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, fellas, ladies, gentlemen, all around the world. It is the Truth Be Told show. It's yours truly, Mr. Just Ask Joe. I've got my brothers from other mothers, Brother Mishorn Daniels, Uncle Mishorn, Mr. Marcus D. Ray, as well as our other brother, Leonard Walker. Peter Hayes is on hiatus today. So we're going to go ahead and rock the show without him. It's all good. So how you fellas doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Like I say, it's a beautiful day out.
Oh, yeah.
All weather's coming. You know, we're in the dog days of summer, last days of heat. So I'm looking forward to the fall.
And I've changed my icon today to kind of go into what Leonard's talking about today, and individual responsibility, and how the power of the subconscious mind plays a whole big role in that.
I see that. I've that's kind of a language that we speak a lot of on other shows and stuff like that. But the power of the subconscious mind, absolutely taking responsibility for things. Uncle Mishorn, are you there? I know he must be having some technical difficulties. His picture is there, but it's all good. So local news, just kind of starting out here. I'm mobile right now, so I don't have the run of the show in front of me, but local news as we move forward. what you guys got going on locally.
Part of the conversation was about the state fair and how that ended up last week, not being any weapons involved, but firecrackers, and the irresponsibility of what that did in a crowd. That was beyond irresponsible. That's just like yelling fire in a crowded theater. And so there's no telling what kind of charges will actually come out of that when it's all said and done, because you create a panic and then people get hurt in the stampede, and you're responsible for all of that and what thought was being funny.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
On point.
Exactly.
Can y'all hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can.
Hey, Marcus, eloquently well said. There's no other explanation for it, is that it was foolish. It's straight up foolish. And I think, Joe, you said last week, you said you want to grab them because you said you had to go out there and get your twins, right? You had to go out there and pick up your twins.
I had to. I'm getting. If you just imagine the panic, my kids. You can say what you want. It's always a catch-22 when it comes to spoiling your kids, right? Because the idea is to be better than before, right? So, if you grew up a certain way, you want to give your kids more than what you had when you grew up. So, in a lot of cases, if you're, if people, the parents are making good money, the kids, are living in a nicer area where there's less crime, and ultimately they don't experience a lot of that stuff.
You don't live in a war zone.
Grew up personally, in and out of the hood, growing up in and out of from city schools to county schools and then back to city schools. So, you try to protect your kids. That's our way of protecting our kids, is keeping them out of that violence. And to get a phone call and hear my son panicking on the phone as he's running for cover, saying, "Dad, come get me. Come get us. Somebody's shooting out here. They're shooting. Come get us, please." And I'm like, "Son, I'm on my way." And fortunately, I live close to the fairgrounds. Their mom was already en route. My ex-wife was already en route, and I jumped in the car, and I'm on the phone with him. He's like, "Please hurry," and he's giving me clear location of where he's at. We're at, E38 or whatever it was, in the parking lot. So, I applaud them for having a sound mind to give me good direction of where they were at, give me, a play-by-play of what's going on, running for cover, staying together, stuff like that. So, but man, you don't want your kids to go through that, man. So again, I was absolutely angry last week.
Yeah, and for good reasons, man, and for good reasons. And thing. What else we gonna talk about, man? Because they done already resolved what's gonna happen with that, and there's no sense to get putting any more water on that and everything. I wanna go and talk about this idea, because I was looking at the news last night. This idea of this school.
You're cutting in and out.
I want to talk about this idea about student loans being paid off. What the hell? Okay, is that a political move? Is that a good thing? Where y'all at with this? My three brothers on here. Is Biden,
you know what, Marcus and Leonard. I think you guys have good insight with that, Marcus, we'll start with you. What do you think about this student loan thing? Is this a political thing, or is it a good thing, a bad thing? What do you think? I mean, I know you think it's a
Well,
good thing, but go
well,
ahead, give us your insight.
let me start out by saying it took me almost 18 years to pay off my student loans, and I paid back every single penny. Uh, with that having been said, um, I believe it's a good thing on its face because uh, the high cost of education has skyrocketed, and it disproportionately affects our community. And so when we graduate college and you're already $80,000 or $100,000 in debt, and you get a $40,000 a year job, then you continue to struggle trying to accumulate wealth. And so I believe while $10,000 is a drop in the bucket, it's the first drop. And so while President Biden wasn't able to completely deliver on what he promised during the campaign, he's at least trying. And so as we talk about holding people accountable for what they're telling us they're going to do, then I think it's absolutely political in that he's trying to deliver on the things he's saying that he was going to do. Now, I also believe that all those people that are whining about student loans, they all took PPP loans that they didn't have to pay back, which is no different. And so as we look at it from a general standpoint, the people that are crying the loudest are the ones that took the most money during the PPP. But I'll stop right there.
I mean, but are they the ones that took the most money? I mean, can we officially say that? Is there some statistics that you're paying attention to that you're speaking towards?
If you'll take a look at what it took to qualify to get those loans, we're talking about the millions and you got the payroll and the big payroll dollars that was helping you sustain your business while we were going through the pandemic. Most of those people don't look like us that own those businesses. So I really don't need statistics to say where the money went, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, Joe.
Leonard, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts right quick. I think, this is very political, but I think the bigger issue here is the distraction. What is the distraction? The distraction is how college, most of the people complaining about college probably paid, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to go to college to complete a 4-year degree, where now you've got kids paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to complete a degree. How all of a sudden did education become so expensive? And at the same time, how high school has deindustrialized. You don't have shops classes. You don't have, any of these things that can prepare a kid straight out of high school to go right into a workforce with an ASE, with, apprenticeship into plumbing, HVAC, carpentry, all of the things that I know I grew up with in high school. We don't have that anymore. So, it's almost like the system is rigged to where unless you want to be successful, you got to pay $300,000, for a college degree that's going to pay you $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year that you got to pay back. So that's an entirely separate conversation. But yeah, it's definitely political. Definitely, the Democratic Party is looking to try to get the young voters, and I don't blame them. That's an important component. That's an important issue that young people are looking at. I know right now for sure, the new generation, I call them Generation Geek, the digital generation. You've got a lot more kids that are looking at college saying, you know what, I don't want to have college. I don't want to have a college loan more than my house loan, right? I don't want to go into debt like that. So they're going to trade schools. They're going to community college. Some of them are not going to college. So we'll see how all of this stuff turns out. But the market typically always dictates what, things are going to do or how people behave. So.
Well, it's interesting when you really look at this because it influences everything. So I'll say, for instance, personal knowledge of friends who are pharmacists, right? Now, I'm a person that focuses more on health and wellness than traditional Western medicine, right? And I know personally people who, in order to add, um, like a natural, I forget what it's called, but um, a naturopathic path to their education as a pharmacist, it was another year's course.
What is
Um,
medical?
so you're talking about a person,
Homeopathic.
that's going through a 4-year degree with getting their doctorate in pharmacy, and then they've already got these bills hanging over their head soon as they graduate, and they're making a decision of whether to add health and wellness, which is a pertinent part of um, medicine that we don't focus as much on here in America. And people decide not to take that. Why? Because they'd be in school for another year and they've got student loans to pay. It's a decision. It's the reason why we have so many less traditional medical doctors versus all your specialists, because people they sit there and they weigh it out and they say, well, shoot, a surgeon makes this much versus a traditional MD makes this much. My student loans are this much. Let me go ahead and become a surgeon. Let me get this specialist degree. And now, as a country, we don't have enough medical doctors. So, these student loans, they decide they're in every aspect of our lives, and it's kind of sad when you really look at it. Something needs to change. I don't think the answer is to say, here, go to school for free. I mean, that'd be nice, because other countries, there are situations where people don't have to pay as much for school as we do here in America. But definitely, I mean, there's professors out there. I got friends that are professors. They work an hour a day, 4 days a week, and that's $2,000 or more. You know what I mean? So the cost of doing business starts right there with how much we pay people, and it's kind of sad in this country, that with inflation and everything, you got to keep raising people's salaries and things of that nature. It seems like a never-ending cycle that only has one outcome, and that's an implosion.
All I want to say to add to that, and I'm glad to hear Marcus and Leonard and all y'all working in the medical field and working around a whole lot of high-paying individuals who take out loans to go to school and everything, and listening to a lot of their conversations and everything. Only thing I'm going to say is that I wonder how the intent of the reason why we're going to offer to pay off loans, okay, was the intent generated, genuinely saying we're looking out or trying to do what's right for American citizens, or was it an intent to deceive us, to take us down another way? And I like what Leonard was saying, what's the original intent? What was the purpose? And I think it's not what we think it was, and that's all. I just don't. It's just not that simple. Oh, we just go pay off some loans and everything. I think there was some underlining things that we don't have no clue what it's all about, that's being used and everything, and it's just an agenda that we don't quite all understand.
Well, I think that it's pretty clear. I don't think there's a hidden agenda. We all the time talk about holding people accountable to what we elected them to do, and now when they try to do that, there has to be some other agenda. You see, you don't get to pull down on both sides of the skirt, right? So either we want to hold our people accountable for what we elected them to do.
The problem is that they're wearing a skirt anyway, so.
That's right. I agree they were. And so what I think happens though is all too often now that someone's trying to deliver on what they said they would do for us, while it's not in total, right? Because he's trying to deliver on that, and people are trying to hold him accountable to what he said he would do. Now there's some kind of other agenda behind that.
No.
And so I don't quite understand how you can come to another agenda when before he ever ran, that's what he said he wanted to do.
Well, again,
I guess it's hard. It's hard personally knowing that this man is an utter racist. You know what I mean? It's difficult to think about the idea of someone who is an absolute racist getting cured from racism and doing the right thing for a people as a whole. I mean, all of a sudden we about face and concentrate on the American descendants of slaves.
So what you're saying is that
Joe,
so what you're
they
saying
don't
is
believe
that
he's
change.
racist, Joe.
No,
Joe, they don't believe he's racist, Joe. They don't believe
it's
he's
not
racist.
about being racist. See what you're getting ready to say is that if that's the way it is, that's the way it must always be. And so before Leonard goes into individual responsibility and changing things and being another person or being better than you were, you're saying that that's impossible because it's not possible for him.
Joe,
I agree with what you're saying, absolutely, and I know where you're going.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you. So here we're gonna let Leonard jump on in there and get into that personal responsibility and all that good stuff. But first, we will be right back, folks. It is the Truth Be Told show.
We'll be back. Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable Products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
Hey folks, check out healthdaddywow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, healthdaddywow.net. Remember, healthdaddywow.net.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Good stuff. As a matter of fact, I got one last thing I need to do so that I can hear you guys.
So, Leonard, you're going to talk about individual responsibility and everything. And I appreciate you going down that road and everything. I believe that the idea of individual responsibilities is what Ice Cube was trying to do with Contract with Black America. I know you talk about political, and we talked about with that idea offline and everything. Just want to throw that in there. I believe that the current president decided to not go there but we want to go everywhere else and everything. But when we wanted to take some individual responsibility and contract with Black America, we didn't get no conversation, no feedback and everything. But go ahead, take it away, bro.
Alrighty. Last week I talked about doing some introspection of your life, to see where you are, where you stand, as far as the things that you would like to accomplish. Doing three goals per year, three achievable goals to transform your life per year. And in 5 years, you have done 15 things to transform your life. Now I'm gonna talk about one of the easiest things we can do that most people will probably shake their head and say, "Oh man, no man, that don't work." Is registering to vote to become a registered voter in your community. Why is that important? Um, Voting is important. If it wasn't so important, people would not try to hold you back from voting, and that's what you're doing with all of these different things that you got, voter ID, all of this types of stuff. You know, some of the stuff you have people that actively don't want you to vote. Why? Because they realize that once you start voting and you start paying attention to your local politics, all right, now you can start getting more vested into your community. All right. This is where change starts. Okay. Change starts with yourself, then it starts in the community. And it's something that anybody, you don't have to be the richest person. You don't have to be the smartest person. It is a constitutional right that people of 18 years old, okay, and even now with some people who have gone to prison and lost those privileges to vote can regain those privileges back. All right, it is your right to do this. All right, and you have to look at it like an obligation because this is how you address the issues in your community. You want to talk about health, you want to talk about prosperity. That voting is how you do this. Right now, where I'm at in the city of Greensboro, some type of way, our citizens decided to vote for a $630 million tax bond, a bond for schools. Which don't get me wrong, I'm all for schools, but we have state lottery and everything. So, but my point to all of that is that's going to make my property taxes go up. Okay, so these are things that affect you when you think about voting. All right, and it's an easy thing to do. You know, go down to know where your your local election board is, register to vote. They have early voting in a lot of places. Learn the process. Learn who your city councilman or your alderman is in your area. Get to know them. Go to city council meetings, whatever day they have, if you can. Right? Get involved locally, and that's what I'm talking about. A lot of people we want to talk about national voting, but what we really need to be talking about is local. 85% of what happens to us directly happens at a local level. It's not the issues. It's not the federal issues about policing that we have to deal with. It's the local issues about policing. So this is why this is part of our individual responsibility to ourselves, our communities, and our families to be a registered voter if you can and be actively involved in your local politics.
I think that's the best word for it is our responsibility.
Right.
Because that's what it truly is our responsibility. It's not just a right and a privilege, but a responsibility. And I think more of us need to take that into account when you start talking about voting is responsibility. And that's why I think it's important, like we talked about, the t-shirts. Let's get some t-shirts going so that and when you talk about voting, like you just said, again, you know, your local elections have more to do with affecting your everyday life, you know, within wherever you live than national elections. But again, I see the movement. I see some momentum towards voting or getting more involved in local elections and such. So what that makes me go back to is the fact that it's only been 150 years since we, were legally made free as a people, but it's technically only been maybe half of that since we were still getting called boy as grown men. And then, half of that last 35, 40 years, since people started really getting involved. I mean, it really speaks to the intelligence of a people
So
to exponentially grow like that. But again, it's only been such a short amount of time. We're still
so
getting into
Joe,
this.
so Joe, you thank you for leading right into, because Leonard and I was having an offline conversation yesterday. He wanted to start with voting. I said voting is important, but to me, it's not the most important thing to start with. To me, that I brought it up to a couple of people: social or adult social emotional learning. The things that you just right there, what you're talking about, culturally, our demographics of people have just, specifically our men. I'm always about our men first. Okay, we just now learning how to let our nuts drop. Okay, let it hang. Okay, learn how to be men and navigate in this country as men. We just learning how to say that we are man. We no longer accepting someone calling us a boy, or we just now starting to understand our humanity doesn't come from our constitution. Our humanity comes from our creator. And so our social emotional, I think we need to have a social emotional incubator period of time that we sit down with ourselves, that conversation with ourselves, and talk about things that we need to do in this country. And voting is one of those things, but voting to me is not the first thing we need to be talking about. I think we got a whole lot of social emotional things about what we need to learn how to unlearn and relearn to navigate a better next 400 years. And that's where
I think where you are, though, or at least from the perspective that I see it, and Joe mentioned it, we're 150 years out of slavery. So basically, our community is only 150 years old. And so when you look at these other societies and these other ethnic groups who are thousands of years old, I think we've come a long way in that short period of time, but we do have to turn the conversation to something else so that we continue to evolve and grow as a group. And so I don't know what the Chinese society looked like 5,000 years ago, but they evolved to what they are today. And so as an ethnic community, then we're only 150 years old from that perspective. And so I think we do have to take a look at some of those things that you're talking about, but we also have to engage it across the entire spectrum. And so if we want to be heard, then we have to go to the places where we're going to be heard. So we have to do it kind of on a two-pronged thing. Yeah, we have to have our own conversation internally, but we also got to engage the system as it is, because what Thomas Jefferson meant and said is true. There's not a government of majority. It's a government of the majority who participate. And so we have to participate first on one prong and then be working internally on the other.
But then doesn't that take, you said it first. We always talk about dealing with us individually. And so, yes, internally, like you stated, Marcus. But then we have to have a mass conversation with us all in order to get us all on the same page. And then after we have that mass conversation with us all to get us all on the same page, unlike what happened when Ice Cube was introducing what he was introducing, that made so much sense that we all that our majority of us shunned away just because. Then we take that conversation after we all get on the same page. We take it to the full majority of Americans and say, "Hey, this is what we came up with. These are our thoughts, our demands. This is the stuff that needs to happen in order for all of us to be able to play well together."
Oh, I agree with that. I think that.
So the question is, how do we do that?
Well, see, before and I say before the information age and before all those things, we channeled it through a single source. And so now there are so many people with so many messages that you don't know which message is the one that you're trying to get. And so unless all those people are going to come and you got these self-absorbed people who believe that their message is better than the other guys, so they wouldn't attend the meeting. And so
but everybody does. Everybody believes their message is better than the other guy.
Right. And so, go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just saying that we have to do it like that.
Yeah, and to add to Marcus's point, we are literally an archipelago of people. All right, an archipelago is a group of islands. So we all like to be on our own little islands. Okay, with our own little issues and our own little things and our own little culture and our own little this. But there's still commonality there. All right, if we all live in the same community, there are certain things that we all need. There are certain things that we all desire. Okay, so with that being said, we can put aside our little small differences and say, okay, we all got to eat, right? Well, we're living in a food desert with no grocery stores. Okay, how do we, through our political process, make our communities more attractive to the major grocery stores, or even try to fund a co-op ourselves, all right, to be able to create something where we have fresh, sustainable food within our grocery store? That's a political process. So we have to think beyond looking at politics like, oh, well, this politician is like my favorite football team, okay, or my favorite basketball team. No, these people are tools that are there to do what we need them to do. And that's how we have to look at it.
So I'm gonna go here. I love just going and be a little controversial. I'm probably the only one on this line here that participated and engaged, making sure that our brothers was willing to vote for President Donald Trump. Okay, unapologetically, using what my brother Leonard just used. These politicians are tools for us to use for our agenda, and I set out personally. It was my individual personal responsibility, I thought, to engage and to have our demographics of men to get off the plantation of the Democratic Party and try something different, no matter if you didn't understand how it worked. No matter what you said, they haven't done nothing for you before. Regardless of all that, try something different. Take a look at what this man was saying. What do you have to lose? So, and in that sense, Leonard, I'm in agreement that politics are nothing more than tools to use for our agenda. But we got to have an agenda. We got to at least be willing to try something to see how it worked for us. So I want to be the first to say thank you, President Trump, for allowing us to drop off a little bit, because we did move. We had 13%, and now maybe I think is up to 27% of our demographics of men, specifically our men, are willing to look somewhere else for something different than what they've been always getting.
So you find something else different. What was different about it, just so I know?
My point is that I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you.
So you want
I just made my point. All I'm saying, we talking about doing things individually.
I know what
I
it is,
just gave an
you always want to
individual
do something different,
conversation
but you
about
can
what
never
I'm not
explain
going
what that
Marcus.
is. I know. Move on. You can never explain what it is.
Yeah, it's not the day. This is not the day or the show to do it.
I know it. So
All I said is
you've been controversial. So move on. You've been controversial.
All I said, I'm gonna say it again. Thank you for the individual work of moving our men away from the Democratic Party. Leonard, you was right. Politics is a tool. That's all. I was in agreement to.
Okay, I'm just asking you what was different. You said try something different. I'm asking you to tell us what was different.
I want you to ask. I want you to tell me, because see, I know where you always want to go. I want you to. What did you see different? Tell me.
I saw an attack on every game we've made over the last 50 years is what I saw different.
That's what you saw Donald Trump done to us?
That's what I saw him do. So Well, no, see,
So that
Sean,
was
what
your.
you do is
That's what you saw.
you make blanket statements, and then you expect to
All
walk
right.
off without having to explain any of
Okay.
them.
So
So I'm
I
asking
asked
you,
you to
what is
answer the question. So I'm gonna give. Now I'm gonna respond to you now. Since you, thank you for answering my question. Now I'm gonna respond to you. Here's the difference. He gave us a platform different than the Democratic Party. Something
what was the
different to
platform?
let us go. It's just that simple.
Well,
What was the platform, though? You said he gave us a platform. Tell me what it is.
He showed that we can seek capitalism, we can seek independent individual development in our community. He gave us the opportunity to those business come on, man.
No,
He said
Sean, you know the difference.
no. He said,
You
what did
haven't said
we have
anything
to
yet.
lose? Let me give you
You haven't
Marcus.
said anything
What
yet.
did we have to lose? You already been voting 90% of your politics in the Democratic Party. So the difference that he gave us, he
You still
gave
haven't said
us
anything, Miss Sean.
another vehicle to go
You
down.
still
That's
haven't
all.
said anything. You still
hey,
I
haven't said
just he
anything.
gave us
well, look,
another vehicle to
You
vote.
still have not
hey,
said
look. I
anything.
tell y'all what. Let's do this. We're
Golly,
gonna go to
Marcus.
commercial. We're gonna go to
You
commercial
still
real
have not
quick.
said anything.
He
We're gonna
gave
go to
us
commercial real
another
quick,
vehicle to vote to. That's it.
and we'll
What
be
It's
is it?
right
just that
back,
simple.
y'all.
What is it?
I don't know how you
What
can't
is it?
understand it. It's just another vehicle. If you've been voting. Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable Products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
Shit. That's why I don't have a sneaker deal. Because if you say something people don't like, they'll take your fucking shoes off. If Martin Luther King had a sneaker deal, we'd still be on the back of the bus. They always true. The Nike executive come up, hi, Martin. We need you to tone down the talk of civil rights and blacks being humans. It's upsetting our southern distributors. But I don't understand. I thought that's why I had a sneaker deal in the first place. Not quite. Really, it's a walking shoe, and we like the marching, but try to understand. Fuck that shit. You know, I get it though. I understand.
Oh, Lord.
All right, folks. All right, folks.
Joe, thank
I thought
you,
that
bro.
was
That was a good. That was good.
That was good. Yeah, that was appropriate in the moment. You know, we're moving on to talking about financial planning and life choices. We're talking voting, but we need to get to gender wars.
Oh,
okay, gender wars. There is a concern when it comes to this, and you know, the question of the day is there a gender war looming? You know, and what's funny is I think the big woo-ha or whatever came with Caitlyn Jenner. You know, I feel like publicly that's when America was like, oh, so, you know, and everybody who wanted to dance in the rain Every man who wanted to dance and do spinning moves in the rain like they seen on some lady do on a movie. That was when the light bulb went off for them. So I want to jump into this real quick. Leonard, take us there.
All righty. Before we go there, I just want to say that this is not getting ready to be a let's beat up on women conversation from my part. And I'm not getting ready. It's not getting ready to be male fragility either, right? What I see here in the media here lately is this: anything you can do, I can do better. Everything I can do it better than you. See, so what does that mean? That means that what we're having is this agenda of women outmanning men. Okay, this is what I see, and I look at it. You look at it in movies, you look at it, TV shows, you look at it, and it's been that way for a while, but it's starting to kind of really, 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 get amped up and ramped up. Give you an example. There's a movie coming out, and I know many of you seen it, and I'm not going to go into the specifics about the culture, but Woman King. Okay, Woman King. Guess what? A woman is not a king. A woman is a queen. All right. What's wrong with being a queen? Why must women be king? When Queen Elizabeth found out that her father King George III died, did she become a woman king? She became the Queen of England. So there's nothing wrong with being a queen, all right? Being a queen is fabulous, all right, for a woman, okay? But let's reverse it. Let's say there was a movie called Man Queen. Okay, so, how ridiculous does that sound? Maybe to some people it doesn't, all right? But it automatically puts you in a place of, do we think about power? Do we think about taking the place of this person or that person, or I can just be whoever I want to be, or I can just wear a costume, and that's my new term for some of these people out here is costume, right?
Costumes.
But it has to be a costume. And again, I know we talk about this stuff and we say, "Oh, well, that's a one-off incident." Everything is a one-off incident until they start happening over and over. Things start out as a one-off incident. So the guy who ends up in a female prison because he identifies as a woman, but ends up getting women pregnant, and go look up news reports of women who were raped by other men in jail. Who identified as a woman, but they ain't got that woman tool, but they use the tool they got, right?
The tool they get. See, so like I said, you have this agenda, okay, and we have to be careful with that because, like I said, is I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with being a woman. I'm gonna say it's everything beautiful about being a woman. And when you think about our women, okay, and I talk about, women of African descent. It is a historical fact that there has been an agenda to defeminize our women, just like there's an agenda to emasculate our men, okay? So defeminizing them, making them more masculine, okay? When I see things, woman king, I'm like, why not woman queen? Or why not the queen? Why does it have to be woman king? You see what I'm saying? So this is this comparison between men and women. A woman can outman a man. Okay, so if women are outmanning men, what is the purpose of men? And this goes back to breaking down our family dynamic, our family structure, because there is no group on the planet Earth in the history of this world that has ever been any successful group of people without family at its core. However that family may look, all right, and with defined roles within that family. See, so this is my biggest issue is this, the ridiculousness of women outmanning men when women are perfectly good and wonderful just as they are as women, So I don't want to go to this, I'm going to beat the women up, and I'm feeling fragile and I'm feeling, no, that's not what this is about. And we have to recognize that because ultimately you got to ask yourself, who benefits from this gender war? Who benefits from breaking us up and making us, be at odds with each other, right? Certainly not the masses, certainly not all of the women as we can see, right? So there's an actual group of people that actually benefit from this, and I've always said, is the labor class of people will always outnumber the elite and everybody else. So as long as you can keep the labor class divided and not, keep so they can't hold anybody accountable for their lives or hold everybody accountable for the prosperity that they have, then yeah. So this is just another measure. It's
another distraction.
Another distraction.
Another distraction.
Hey, well, real quick, while we're sitting here on this topic, I want to play one more video. Is that cool with you guys?
Go for it, man.
Yes, sir.
Right before you leave, Leonard, I know you got to go here in a second, and here let's just do this right before you leave.
I knew before you guys knew. I heard things on the street in Hollywood. You just be out, see people. Hey, what's up, Kanye? Why the long face? Nigga, you'll see. Got 2 mother-in-laws now. And when I heard he was gonna do it, I was scared. I didn't think the public was ready. I didn't think the media was ready. And you know what? I was wrong. Not only did the public embrace him, but the media was nice. I'd never seen anything like it. Welcome to the world, Kate. So long, Bruce. Hello, Caitlin. I was shocked. Is this happening? Wait a minute. Is this a time in American history when an American can make a decision for themselves? And even though other Americans don't understand it, they'll support it and let this person live a happy life? Is this what's happening? If it is, then good for America. That's Dave Chappelle, the American. Although Dave Chappelle, the Black American, he was a little jealous. I was like, how the fuck are transgender people beating black people in the discrimination Olympics? If the police shot half as many transgenders as they did niggas last year, it'd be a fucking war in LA. I know black dudes in Brooklyn, hard street motherfuckers that wear high heels just to feel safe.
Oh, man.
It's interesting when you think about that. See, one of the reasons why Dave Chappelle is as brilliant or is hailed as one of the most brilliant comedians is because of how he entangles the truth or what's going on in the world today in his comedy.
Exactly.
And it's actually funny and you learn and he teaches all at the same time. So, before you go, Leonard, just looking at this, he made many different points there about again, even looking at the necessity of people, he's making light of it, but people having to act like a transgender just to not get killed by a police officer, for instance. You know what I mean? I mean that right there is an actual something to think about type of thing. You know what I mean?
So right quick, that's kind of like the Willie Lynch letter extended to everybody. Okay. And part of the Willie Lynch letter was treat some better than you treat other ones, so that you can cause confusion and chaos among the masses, so that they'll never unite and turn on you. So more distraction. So more distraction. So there you have it.
Hey, so Leonard, before you leave, man, and I'm glad, boy, Joe, you masterful, know how to put something together, bro. That was just right on time. So Leonard, before you leave, since I know that we have my fellow brother listening to this thing, if it's okay for Jenna to come on out and say that he's a woman, then what is wrong with Uncle Misha on saying that he's a Messiah, okay, or he's the Messiah of his household, okay?
Well, like I said, Messiah is a pretty strong word, but my
that's
whole
pretty
word
strong word, right?
My whole thing is costume. Okay, why do I say costume?
Yeah,
because I can dress in a Superman uniform. I can put a Superman suit on. I could legally change my name to some form of Superman that's not a registered trademark, and people can call me Superman. But here's the thing: is if I jump off my 2-story house, will I be able to fly?
It just depends on music you're listening to at the time. If you're listening to R. Kelly at the time, then it could quite possibly fly. I don't know. But you just have to believe it. That's one thing.
You just have to believe. I believe I can fly. I've actually sung that song. I
All
actually
right,
sung
guys, I
that
got to
song at the
go.
convention center.
Hey, brother Leonard, we appreciate you,
Hey, Leonard,
family.
love you, man.
All right, love
Until
you
next
guys.
time.
All right, I'll see.
All right. Hey, but staying in that vein, man, talking about is there attack? Yeah, it is gender war. You know, I posted something already on Facebook and everything, and got folks already tagging it and everything. And one of the things that I wanted to say right up front and is that uh, all of us born after 1960, okay, isn't the same men, husbands, and fathers of all those born before 1960. So our women are starting to see a difference in our men because our men are starting to realize, that they can drop it. They don't have to be fearful about speaking their truth and thinking that somebody gonna come and lynch them and take something out their house or do something. Our men can now speak their truth without the repercussion of something happening, like a lynch or a white mob, like Emmett Till uncle had to deal with. So yes, is there a I think there is a gender war that's happening, and I think the not just the left, but our whole society is up against it. And I think our culture of people, general statement again, Marcus, I believe our demographics of people is the ones burden the proof of trying to come out of that, because we've been still not allowed to be free to be who we are. So we suffer the most because we're still trying to find ourselves. We're still trying to find ourselves. And now we got LBGTQ, illegal immigrants, and everybody else going on top of us before we actually get a handle on who we are.
Well, even
think
about what Chappelle said. A they're beating us in the demonstration Olympics. I mean, why is it? I mean, really, to be honest with you, what this shows more than anything else is how America views American descendants of slaves. How America views the melanated community, because they continue to overlook us and allow any and everybody and everything else to come forth, and we accept that. Why ain't we out lynching transgenders? Why ain't we out turning them into a slave class to do some work for us or something like that? But again, they put us through the horrific stuff.
Yes.
And then after that, they allow everybody else to come before. Now, is it our fault or what?
Well,
Marcus,
as I've said before, it continues to be baked into the way this country was put together.
Mm-hmm.
It was never designed for us to be anything more than second-class citizens. And so all the people that have been able to co-opt the civil rights movement, they typically don't look like us. So they get that first pass glance that Michonne's always talking about. And next thing you know,
first glance pass. Yeah.
It's happened. And then we get pushed back one more rung. I remember, I don't remember, but I read it. Theodore Roosevelt said that we have no place for hyphenated Americans in this country, or hyphenated Americans in this country, right? He wasn't talking about us at the time. He was talking about Irish Americans, German American, French American, right? That didn't include us.
Exactly.
Right. And it still doesn't include us, even though if it did, we wouldn't be African Americans on the sheet.
So how do we again, the question always remains, how do we move forward from that?
Well, I think to move forward, the difficult task of moving forward is that there are so many different messages that they don't all have to be the same. They just have to be headed in the same direction.
Right.
And if all those messages are headed in the same direction, then I think we can move forward as a people. The thing about the power of the subconscious mind, we get fed these things subconsciously, and what goes in is this second class type thing, and then next thing you know, it manifests itself in your conscious mind. And so we have to begin to put in our subconscious mind all those things that are positive about us as a community. And then they will manifest themselves. You know, we didn't all start out financially stable. We had to learn that someplace.
Exactly.
And then apply that and make that happen for us. And so as we talk about the individual responsibility, individually, I have to take care of myself. Collectively, that grows, right? You move one mountain, one piece of dirt at a time, or one rock at a time. And I think it's the same thing. It's individually, we have to become financially stable and understanding what that means. And we have to have that in our mind subconsciously. We tell ourselves these are things we must do to get there. And then it'll create a swell, and then it'll create a tidal wave. And so I think it's much more complicated than that, but that's the down and dirty of how we move forward.
That's a simple, but Marcus, that's a simple foundation of how to build it. It's no different than me calling myself a messiah of my household. Okay, bottom line is self-consciously, I'm saying I'm the messenger in my household from my creator. Okay, that's all I'm trying. I'm the messenger in my house from my creator, and what goes on and what happens down on this house moving forward, not nobody else. Okay, and but it got to start with each and every one of us individually willing to put a perimeter around what's ours. And then Joe, you see me doing it, then you say, "Oh, look what Uncle Michon doing. Oh man, that's popping." Someone see you doing it, Joe. Oh wow, look what Joe doing, man. I like that. And then all of a sudden we start.
But I mean, but think about that, Michon, and that's all great sentiments. But I mean, I feel like, dude, we are fighting against TV, radio, and social media. So you're saying that's great, but I mean, and this is where the sentiment everybody can't go, and you can't help everybody comes from, because the reality is that we're up against something that is ultimately too great. You know, the second that you go find 10 people that you can influence in a positive manner to become more accountable and such, and become better men, then there's 100,000 people being influenced the other direction.
Exactly.
You know, by TV programming, social media programming, again, programming your mind.
Exactly.
So, you know, it almost seems like a lost cause at sometimes. I mean,
we can't give
really
up
does.
hope, man. Yeah, I as a bottom up leader, you know, retired sergeant first class, man. You got, you know, and I know Marcus can understand this, because you think I got to think about it from a military standpoint. When I got 5 squad leaders and they got 15 or 20 people in their squads, okay, it's my responsibility to those 5 squad leaders and everything to give them instructions on how they need to take care of those soldiers. Okay, but I got to be standing out front, being an example of what that looked like. Okay, and my question is do we have that in our community, Marcus? I mean, you and I talked about, do we have that authentically, genuinely in our community, where the same equivalent of what we learn in the military? We know what a platoon sergeant is. We know what a company commander is. We know what they do. Okay, why can't we transfer that back into our community of leadership?
Well, and I believe you do have it to some degree, but to Joe's point is that those things get overshadowed by the propaganda that's thrown out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, there's no place you can retreat to unless you choose to retreat to those places where those positive things take place.
Right.
You see, so we have to try and get them into those positive places, and some of it is our own doing. You know, they wouldn't produce it if we didn't watch it.
Say that again.
I asked the question before: is how is it that somebody that lives in rural Kentucky has the same mentality as somebody that grew up in inner city Atlanta? And the only way that's possible is they have to be socialized
Right.
through what they see on TV or what they hear on the internet or wherever they're getting it from.
Right.
And so Joe's point is the only real point is that unless we can curb or change the
Cut it off.
socialization and the propaganda that comes with that, then we're spitting in the wind, even though we'll continue to spit in the wind until we can change that path. We may save a few, but we're by and large, most of them are going to be caught up in the propaganda.
Yeah, very true. I saw something go across there. Martin says it's start head of household. You know, I guess he's referring to my Messiah conversation, head of household conversation, which is a lot of truth to that. But head of household is not something. Head of household is not a new concept. There were people who wanted to be head of household back in the early '60s and prior to that. And this government prevented them from being a head of household. They could have yelled Jesus, Jesus, Jesus all day long, but they're calling themselves Jesus or believing that they were a child of God didn't give them the authority to be as equal as the dominant European culture that stripped down their rights to be a man. So when I say today that I'm a Messiah, I'm just speaking that I'm the head of our household. And I understand that I can fight for that, okay? But that's my individual choice. Now, Joe, you're right. I mean, there's so much going on, man. There's so much happening.
And a lot of times it feels overwhelming.
Yes, it is.
And I was trying to find a video where Dave Chappelle talked about it. You know, I mean, we can call him the Messiah. But where Dave Chappelle talked about it, where he talked about he said it's called the age of spin.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Was the fact that there's so much going on. He talked about this new generation. He said there's so much going on.
Yes.
You get to see everything. How can you actually care about anything?
Oh,
you know what I mean? So
man, I do remember seeing that. I can't remember which one you played that.
Much. Yes. We're overwhelmed. Now we're just inundated with information.
Yes.
And my thoughts sometimes, I'm sitting there wondering, like, okay, did they they couldn't have sat back and planned this out the whole way some years ago. What must happen is they must be having some quarterly meetings to say, okay, this is what's happening. The thing that we did before with allowing this internet thing to come about, it's taken off, and now people are engaged, and there's more people that are stuck in this internet thing. So our ultimate goal to gain control of people's minds is working. So let's see how we can amp this up. You know, who do we got over there? Well, there's this guy, this Zuckerberg. He's got this thing called Facebook, and I think that would be a bigger segue into getting people stuck in the internet.
Joe, I mean, Joe, can you go find that thing that I posted, the secret covenant? Okay. And play that, man. Read that what that European woman talking about. She's coming out explaining the covenant that has been laid out there and has been intentionally played and intentionally integrated into our society. And I posted that with Martin, Greg, and John, my three American European male friends. And one of my European friends, Mel, said to me, "Do you really think that's the case? Do you really think that's happening?" I had to say, no. The question is, I can't believe you don't think it's not the case. I mean, how can you not listen to that and think that there is an intentional, ingrained system in place, intentionally engaged to keep, specifically, like you said, Marcus, they never included us, never intended, never meant, never thought in a million years, okay, that we will be sitting the way we're sitting today. And you still got grown men, specifically men, thinking, "Oh, it's not true. It's you just got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and everything. You can work it out. It's gonna be okay." A bunch of
Well, I mean,
BS.
I think, and listen, it is true. You can pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The problem is that if there's somebody there that's always cutting the strings that you created out of thin air yourself, then that's where a lot of the problem lies. You know, somebody's there continually cutting the strings, but they can't cut everybody's strings all at the same time.
Right, they can't cut everybody's strings at the same time.
Some people get out. Some people
That's
get out.
right.
Some people get out the matrix.
Because you know that every time any system of oppression that's overcome, there's always one waiting in its place, and it traps fewer and fewer people each time. And
Right.
so, you know, as we eliminate these systems of oppression, there's another one's in place, and it's always that way, right? And so there's this unwritten thing that happens that individual groups are pitted against other groups, whether they realize it or not.
Right.
And that creates some competition, and you see these things, and those groups and those lines vary. It's not always going to be by gender or race, or it's going to be all different types of things. And so these groups form, and some people have all these and some won't. And so that's just going to always be. The question is how do we navigate through that system,
right,
so that everybody has the opportunity. And that's really the question that comes up. How does everybody get the same opportunity?
Right.
And what does that look like?
What do
Saying
you think
we're
about?
equal. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was just reading your thing, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And I love that you putting that up there and everything. What do you think about this idea that we who have the subconscious understanding of what's happening to us, we have to create some type of incubator system. This is why I was talking about the adult emotional learning. Okay, somehow, some way. And that's not something we need to get the permission of nobody but us willing to say we're going to do it for ourselves. Okay. It's kind of like when I'm the platoon sergeant and I call a meeting with my platoon. Okay. I plan what I'm going to do with my platoon under the umbrella of what maybe the command and everything has planned. But I still have to have a meeting with who? My platoon. The same thing as you, as you being a commander of your unit. You can understand the overall mission of what the overall mission is, but you still got to have a meeting with your organization about what it is. I think culturally, somehow, some way, we need to develop some type of incubator, okay, way of saying, let me show you how to learn, how to unlearn, to relearn for the next 400 years, man.
But here's the thing. That's what a BET was long before. That's what a BET was supposed to be. That's what it was originally. That's what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Next thing you know,
it got taken over.
Well, no, it didn't get taken over. It was sold.
Oh, yeah.
So
it was
someone sold out.
Yeah, it sold billions.
So how do we build? I mean, typically, let's just be real. When it comes to a company, when you start talking monopoly, when you start talking capitalism, you build a company and then ultimately you sell it, right? That's kind of the ideal ending of that situation, is to sell the company. But again,
how do you stay?
There's the moral aspect, and
doing what's right, though, man.
To the passion, to the moral compass part of it. No, you're right. You're right.
You hit it right.
That's
there.
the point.
This is what my God's lives matter in where I'm at. I mean, history and all the things that I try to do. I'm just trying to not compromise, man.
What if somebody comes up to you, Mishon, tomorrow and says, "I got $5 million. I want to buy your God's Lives Matter."
Bro, I'm gonna
situation.
just be honest with you, bro. I've already had those thoughts, man. I've already had those thoughts, okay? And I have said to myself that I will not compromise what I believe God gave me. God lives matter. Stay committed to what I believe is the right thing to do. Hey, I take the five,
So
but I
$5
gotta
million
be the chair.
ain't gonna make it work.
Hey,
Because
hey,
here's the
hey,
thing.
no, man.
Well,
I'm
if you
telling you, I
look
gotta be the
around,
chair. I gotta be, I do what Marcus says. Yeah, you bring your $5 million. What'd you say, Marcus? You bring your
but but but
we did this
but you
before.
got to run.
What'd you say, Marcus, about bringing money? You can bring your money. We give you a percentage of ownership and everything, but I'm still chairing this thing. Okay.
Right.
I'm still chairing
Which
this
makes
thing.
sense. Which would be nice if your boy had done that. Keep the programming the same. Let's continue to enlighten. The original point
He didn't
was,
have to
hey, there's
sell out,
not
man.
enough stuff for us.
He did not have to sell
here.
out. But did you listen to Bob Johnson's comments? Come on, Marcus, you and I've talked. Did you hear his
Well,
comments
but
when he sold? Did you hear
but
what
you
he
also
said?
got to remember when he was going down that road, his ratings were dismal.
Yes.
No one, I say no one, he didn't have the audience to continue down that light. And so he was faced with the decision, do I go bankrupt or do I go where I'm going to make the money?
Right.
And so
And I agree with
some of that was we didn't want that content.
We didn't support him. Yeah, we didn't give him the content, or we didn't support
But again, and this is the reason why you didn't have as many people wanting that content, because the machine on the other side was pumping out way
was so
more than what his machine was pumping out.
Well, and I'll say this because I'm gonna have to go here in about 10 minutes myself. The time before we were integrated, we didn't have the educational gap. We taught our children very well. We didn't have the gangs in the streets.
Right.
We didn't have any of those things prior to integration. And so what we thought, or at least from all I've read, what we thought about integration is that if we are interacting with them, they will see that we're not those people that they thought we were, and they will share the power, the resources, and the responsibility with us.
Yeah.
What that did to us is we gave up our own communities, our own businesses, to integrate into a system that did not want us.
There you go.
And you know what? And you're right. But
it's just that simple, wasn't it, Mark?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And the thing about that is, think about what we've been saying this whole time. It's only been about 75 years since you weren't being called a boy anymore. So when you talk about giving up, because you sit back and you say, and in my mind, I'm like, damn, why did we give it up? Why didn't we just beat the hell out of people that were trying to come in to take? Well, because we still looked at them as the boogeyman.
Yeah.
So we were still scared.
Right.
We're still to this day have this inferior mindset. I mean, you can't take hundreds of years of abuse that has been beat into a people and think it's going to change. It's going to take that amount of years and or more.
Agreed.
To break it. And
exactly. And I'm glad to see Martin Smith is following us, and I'm going to go ahead and say, Mr. Martin Smith and I've been engaged in conversation, but Leonard, Marcus and Joe, I discovered something about Mr. Martin Smith in our conversation. I came to the discovery that Martin Smith don't see me as equal as him. He feels and believes that I, at 62 years old, I still need to be hovering down and trusting that his authority and his beliefs and his religious Christianity ideology point of view that he's trying to sow onto me, I need to hover down and respect that because he say so, Hey, Marcus, he called me a name, man. He literally just came out and just called me a name. Okay, he said that I was victimized by what he was saying. And bro, I had to tell him, brother, just because you say it, don't make it true. And just because you think it is not my truth. So, but he believed that just because he believed a certain thing, because I called him out on his BS, all of a sudden, it's kind of what you said, Marcus, before. The moment that you call someone out on something that they know that you done called them out on the truth, all of a sudden, you become the problem. Okay? Because now you done called them out on the very thing that they thought that they were trying to pull over your eyes, man. And so, Marcus, I love what you just said about, and it's really just that simple. We thought by integrating with the dominant European culture that they will see our humanity and do right by us. And how naive were we?
that was why Martin Luther King said in the end, not too long before he was killed, that I've led people into a burning
building. That's right.
Because into a burning house. Because again, that shouldn't have been the move to integrate.
No,
we should have
fought and stood our ground.
Yeah, we should have fought for our own and continued to get the land that we were trying to get.
So, but integration was never about living next door to Martin or going to school with Billy.
Right.
Integration was about the sharing of the power, the resources, and the responsibility. And had those things happened, then our school wouldn't have been, the resources there would have been for our schools. Right. So it was never about living next door or any of those type of things. It was about sharing those three things. And we got and I say we got the okie doke because they shared living next door to them and going to school with them, and then built schools somewhere else, and then moved somewhere else.
White flight.
Well, I mean, again, because the message got misconstrued.
Right.
Absolutely. And I mean, once Martin, think about it. I would say the message became diluted and misconstrued after Malcolm X was killed.
Yes.
So it was
no, man. We was all over it. I think 2 shows ago. No, you was all over it. 2 shows. Remember we said coming out of war. When those soldiers came back and saw Black Wall Street, okay, and they saw us,
World War I.
We was living large and doing things, and they were like, what the hell? Remember you went there? I got off the air and I stood for a moment, man, in silence and thought about what you were saying, man. That was some real talk. It got construed right there. They decided, oh hell no. Nah.
Well, when I say the message got misconstrued, I'm talking about the message among us. What we were fighting for got misconstrued.
But it started there. But if you think about it, it started there.
Because at that point.
Oh, that's you?
No, that was
my phone.
But it's all good.
I want you to keep that vine with you there. It started really there because we never rebuilt. Okay, we realized that they was not for us. Okay, they bombed us. They put legislation together. They did everything in their power to make sure that we did not rebuild. You feel me?
Oh, okay. Okay. So the Mooney term. That's what I'm noticing is when you said derogatory. Okay.
Yeah, they did everything in their power to make sure that we culturally did not rebuild. And that's what they constantly have done all across this country. Every time we culturally have tried to rebuild ourselves, we have tried to create that perimeter that I've said over and over. We got to build a perimeter around us. And so with Marcus, spot on. When we decided and allowed that integration, and we thought that they were going to see our humanity as equal as them, how naive and foolish we were.
Yeah, no, that's true, and it's because we're not a horrific, gruesome people. We are a peaceful people, and even in Africa, we're a peaceful people. We learned violence, and we learned hatred, and we learned all of this stuff here in the U.S. of A. Or I can say in America. We learned it, and then as things have changed over to this corporation of the USA, then we definitely learned it even more so. And that's another conversation. We should probably do that for next week's show, is to talk about America versus the United States of America, because I think that in understanding all of this, of what we're going through and everything, the distraction, all of that, the fakery that of what we see, we need to understand that it is because this is one big giant show. I mean, think about it. Somebody said to me the other day, and I posted it, most other countries, you have emperors and queens and kings that run the country. In America, we have presidents, vice presidents, and any other companies, any other countries that have presidents and vice presidents, treasurers, secretaries. That's those are the titles of a corporation, right? That's the structure of a corporation. So again, this is not just a regular country here led by an emperor, king, and queen. No, this is a corporation.
This is a corporation.
People don't understand that. They don't get it. They don't think about it at all. They don't put any thought into it. But it's a reality.
And you know what?
Corporation. We are the products.
Exactly. You know what? You have led us right into what is right for us in America's Little Black Book and Dr. Norris Shelton. Okay. His book literally is about saying we need to understand that we're the product of a corporation. Okay. And
Martin just posted something that was pretty awesome. He said, I didn't agree with much of what Jimmy Carter said, which I think Jimmy Carter was a president that was one of the first that was more for the American descendants of slaves. But I didn't agree with much Jimmy Carter said, but you said the day that we gave corporation, or I guess he said the day that we gave corporations the same rights as individuals was the day we lost our democracy. And that is Jimmy Carter. So I think that's conversation needs to go with this, is how we understand that we are products inside of a corporation.
We're products that's trying to we're trying to benefit. Everybody else been benefiting off of us being a product, but us. And I love that Dr. Norris Shelton actually said that. He said when he spoke that at in Frankfurt, he said that it got to become a time that we got to learn how to turn ourselves into benefiting as everybody else has benefited off of us. We got to learn how to turn it around, that we learn how to benefit off ourselves, okay, as a demographic of people in this country that was formed and created intentionally to be ignorant and servitent, to be a product to America. But we got to understand it, and we got to stop being emotional about it. Got to take the emotional out of it.
The mayors, the governors, all of the state officials, local officials, city officials, these are all managers, supervisors, assistant managers, assistant supervisors, to the all the way up to the president, the vice president, the secretaries, the treasurers. So people got this is Trump. One big corporation.
You got to think about how Trump ran in and became did Trump go run it like a traditional president, or did he go run it like a corporation? How did he go? How did he go in there and run it? Did he go in there trying to run it like the traditional president, or he went in there trying
no,
to run
I mean,
it.
that was the one thing. And again, it's not about being a fan of Trump,
Right.
And people need to understand that. It is about the idea that Trump was not bought by the establishment. That was the point. That was what a lot of us were
did not understand
cool about. Hey, he might not have had great character, might have been an idiot at times, say some dumb things without thinking about it and all of that stuff.
But he was not a Beckham boy or a puppet to the establishment. Exactly. And I can respect that. I don't have to agree with all the shenanigans and everything, but I can respect that he was his own man, okay? And whether you liked it or not, okay, he was still his own man, okay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Versus Obama. Now let's compare it to Obama.
Hold on. You know what? Let's save that. Marcus got to go. It's 10:33. It's about time to get off here. So
close this out.
We'll save that talk for the next show. Also, Martin says he wants to come on and talk about what you accused him of, and throw the first stone, as Jesus said, who hasn't said something stupid. I tell you, punctuation is a good thing. So yeah, let's talk about that. Because I mean, maybe he said something that he didn't, mean to say or put it in a context.
Nah,
I think at the same time, I've said that before too. I said Moonies, and I mean, I personally still don't believe that that's a derogatory term. I believe that you can take anything and make it something if you say so. If I call you Mr. and you say, hey, don't call me Mr. Mr. is a problem, then all of a sudden it's an issue.
But if you're but you're my friend, right? And if I say to you that, brother, don't use that term with me, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
And don't disrespect and don't disrespect my friend who I personally have gotten to know, Reverend Sun Moon, who I personally met, sat down, had conversation with him. That's my friend. Don't disrespect my friend by using that derogatory term. If I call you my friend and you're my friend,
I get it.
Okay. And I ask you not to do that.
It's dismissive. It's like calling somebody crazy.
Yeah.
It's dismissive. Again, something else I learned from the Chappelle. It's dismissive. So, it's not good to just dismiss someone. So again, either way, that is the Truth Be Told show. I'm gonna go out with a little bit of Dave Chappelle. So if y'all want to stay on,
I love it. I love
in
it.
the background and
Joe,
listen to that.
As we close it out, seeing like you and I, the only one on here right now. Let me just say to you, bro, thank you for heading this show up. You did the whole show with the tipping point behind you, and I decided not to say anything. I just felt like you would have
man.
So.
Man.
But I want to appreciate
advertisement. It's all good. I'm just advertising my other show.
I want to thank you for we wouldn't be here had you not gracefully came on and participated in the dreams and the visions of me trying to do something, man. So hey, you've been holding it down very good, man, and I'm proud of you, bro. I maybe don't say it enough, but let me just say to you, man, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, I appreciate you too, brother. Hey, and again, folks, that is the Truth Be Told show. Like I said, I'm gonna ride out with a little bit of Dave Chappelle. Y'all can stay on and watch. And again, same place, same time next week. Next time, Uncle Misha, please let me know that if I mess up the background or whatever. I got a lot of things going on. I know, driving down the road and running in to get to the studio.
It's all good.
But it's all good, man. We'll catch you next week. And I'm gonna go ahead and put us backstage as we listen to this Dave Chappelle. Peace, everybody.
Peace. Have a good one next week.
Well, you young heads missed that shit. You all too young. You don't remember that. How old are you, young man? You. 24, you don't know shit. You don't know shit. You gotta Google shit that I lived through. See, this is why I lock motherfuckers' phones up. Seriously. Because the young kids, you guys, look, you need to take a break from that. We all need to break just from that technology, just for a minute. You know, I'm from a different time, young man, a dark time to you. I'm from a time that I didn't even used to know who was on the phone until I answered the shit. Like when tragedy used to strike. I remember I was 12 years old and the teacher wheeled the television set into the classroom. You know these things? And she turned it on to one of 3 channels. And she said, class, the space shuttle is taking off and we're all gonna watch it take off. Man, that shit was going great for like 3 to 5 minutes. That's right, you remember, it fucking exploded. Right on television, everybody on board, dead, immediately presumed dead. It was so bad, the teacher looked at all the kids like, you go home. The goddamn national tragedy. This is Cold War America. Russians were laughing at us. My point is, for your age, you wouldn't even know the pain because in your generation, it's like the space shuttle blows up every fucking day. How can you care about anything when you know every goddamn thing? I'm getting over one cop shooting, and then another one happens, and then another one happens, and another one happens. I'm crying about Paris, and then Brussels happens. I can't keep track of all this shit. So you just give the fuck up. That's the hallmark of your generation. And that's fucked up because your generation lives in the most difficult time in human history. This is the age of spin. The age where nobody knows what the fuck they're even looking at. Did you know that Planned Parenthood was for abortions? It's for people that don't plan things out at all. That's right. So a guy your age doesn't really know how he feels. Are you pro-choice? Are you anti-consequences? What does it all really mean? It's easier not to care for you. But for us, we were trained to care. We were raised that way. I used to watch a fucking cartoon when I was growing up called the Care Bears. It was about a fucking group of teddy bear people. They were like teddy bears, but they were like people. And they were all different colors, and they all fucking just walked around caring. They cared about each other and everything else. They all had different designs on their stomachs, and the designs told you something about what they might be like inside. Very, very loving group of beings. And when shit got real bad, as nice as those teddy bears were, they didn't get mean faces. They got determined. And the leader would say, come on, guys, it's time for the Care Bear Stare. Remember that shit? And then little teddy bears would lock arms and stare at the problem. And I'm not even bullshitting. Actual love would shoot out of their chest and would dispel anything that was fucked up. And when we grew up, we wanted to be like those babies. And then we got our hearts broken. So we found out that life wasn't gonna let us do that. And that it's impossible to shoot love.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
All right, cue the music.
Cue the music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told Show, where we place America first, honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn as we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told Show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Nishorn.